Hello everyone. So this time we're going to be starting on our portrait unit, and so we are going to be talking about three different types of portraits. Then we're going to work with a partner. You guys are going to end up drawing each other, and then in about, I would say probably about a week, you guys are going to end up bringing in a picture for me. So either you can bring in the physical picture itself, or you can end up just emailing it to me if it's a digital copy, and then I can print it out for you. I need those definitely by the end of this week, so that way I have the weekend to print them out for you, if that's what you desire. So, what we're going to be starting on today is our portraits. So just in general, a portrait is a picture of a person's face. So as long as the major focus of the picture is the person, that's considered a portrait. So, to go even deeper, so you can say a portrait of a portrait. A portrait itself, whenever you're talking about a human's face, is just a dead-on, straight shot of a person's face. So it's symmetrical, chopped down the center, it's going to be the same on both sides. And for the most part, everything's going to be symmetrical. Unfortunately, whenever you talk about a real human being, you'll notice that, like, if you literally chop a person's face in half, for the most part, the face is actually slightly asymmetrical, just because we're human beings and we don't reproduce exactly the same on both sides. So, to start off our portraits today, I want you guys to draw with me just so we can figure out all the correct proportions. So in general, just start with a circle or an oval. Doesn't have to be perfect. Once you have that, two little lines. They go a little bit below the bottom of the circle. So again, that one goes just a little bit below. And that's just connecting off the edge of the circle right here. They slightly turn in. Then you do like kind of almost an upside down trapezoid. So if you think about math, they're a little bit curved. And then in the center, generally a flat shape right in here. Smooth them on out. And this will be the bottom jaw of your person. Now, because I said this is symmetrical, if you need a ruler, you can use a ruler, but chop your picture in half. Just do this really lightly. That is the line of symmetry that it goes like right down the center of your face. Now, from the top of the head to the bottom of the jaw, cut it about halfway. Do another really light line. That's the line where your eyes typically go. Now you notice that I said typically. Some people have eyes that slant down, some people have eyes that are slightly more up, off to the side. It just depends upon the person, but in general, top of the head, bottom of the jaw, right in the middle is where those eyes go. Now again, I'm going to touch the eye line, and I'm going to touch the bottom of the jaw. Go about halfway. That's the bottom of the nose. Do it really light. I wonder why it keeps going blurry. Okay, bottom of the nose, bottom of the jaw. About halfway is the mouth. And I have my general proportions of where everything goes. If you want to get even more detailed, you go a little bit above the eyes. Not too terribly much. But right there is the top of the ears. And then if I remember correctly, yep. So I'm actually touching like my face right now just to double check. So the bottom of the nose is actually the bottom of the ears. So I know exactly where the ears go. Now, this is going to look creepy, but because you guys are doing this in pencil, you're able to erase it. Put a circle in the middle of your picture. This helps measure the distance from the beginning of each of the eyes. So basically, if you took like the core of your eyeball, so you have one right here, and you move it into the center, that helps measure the same space. So you actually have 3 eyeballs across to help measure how big this will end up being. A little bit longer. Okay, so I got my 1, 2, 3 eyeballs. It looks super creepy. It won't be for too much longer. Now, a little bit smaller, you're going to add a sphere right here. It's going to go slightly below your nose line. And that is A-okay. And then here's where your mouth goes. what you do is from the center of this eyeball, draw a light line down. Center of this eyeball, light line down. And that's actually where the edge of your mouth ends, typically. Some people have longer mouths, some people have shorter mouths. Now, because we have all the general proportions laid down, we can start adding in the details. So, your eye typically goes from edge to edge. Just have a half circle. I do a little bit of a tear duct there, you don't have to if you don't want to. And then another bottom of the circle. Now that bottom of the circle, or that half, ends just a little bit before that end right there, because this bottom lid tucks in to our upper lid. Now I'm going to reproduce it on the other side. Go edge to edge. Add in my tear duct. And then have that half circle where it ends just a little bit before. Those are my eyes. So all of these now are circles on the outside. You can erase those if you want to. One thing that this does help with, if you do end up leaving them, is that if you do a 45-degree angle from your tear duct, that is typically where the arch of your eyebrow is. So that also helps measure like where you would want to put your eyebrows. So they go on top of that circle, and this is where the arch starts. And everybody's eyebrows are different. Some people have the angles up, some people have angles down. Right here at this edge right up here. It just depends upon the person. You just have to look at somebody's eyes. That's why I said we're going to go look and work with a partner, because it makes it a lot easier. Now for the most part, we also have an upper lid right up here. Get a little bit of space from the tear duct, and then just follow across that arch up top. Cool. Once you have that, we are going to go start on the pupil and iris. So, normally people just do your circle and then you just do it right there in the center. It looks super creepy. Don't do that. What ends up making it look more realistic is actually if you cut off some of the circle, because our eyelids droop over top of it. So in general, that pupil and iris is actually about this big. So you can have it so where part of it's cut off on the bottom, so he looks like he's looking down. You can do it to where it's off to the side if you want to. I'm just going to do a dead-on stare. Super creepy. Inside of here, typically you do end up seeing most of the black pupil. And shade it in if you want to. Draw my line for my tear duct. And then the eyes are, for the most part, done. Now I'm going to move on to the nose. So because I added this sphere here, I'm just going to go up along the bottom of it. Some people are going to have a really deep sphere, some people have a flatter sphere. It just depends upon the person themselves. You will have to look at either your partner or look at your picture or look at yourself. Everybody's different. Another thing that I like to do is just echo the same edge of the circle out just a little bit further. Again, some people's are out further, some people's are closer. It just depends upon that person. So I have that angle right there. And then I just connect them. Do not connect all the way to the edge of the outer circle, just because it makes it look super creepy. Like they got a slice across the bottom of their face. So I left a little bit of space because underneath this actually tucks up into the nostril, which is, again, weird, but our bodies are really weird. If you want to draw lines, you can, but don't add too much just because there is no distinct lines here. You just have a lot of shading that helps distinguish the nose. So I just do it right here at the edge of that circle, and then bring it down. Later on this will be like a little box of shading right here. If you want to, don't got to. Okay. Now we're going to move down to the lips. This one is like a combination of a lot of different shapes, so we're just going to go really slow on it so that you guys can keep up. So one, I do need a little sphere. Again, it's going to go in the middle and it's going to go up on the top. So big circles, and it just keeps getting smaller as we go down. I go from the edge of this to the top of the circle and make little triangles off of it. It needs to be a little bit longer. There we go. From here, I create a V shape. Some people have a really sharp V, some people have a smooth V, some people have like a less shallow V. It just depends upon the person. I'm going to smooth this out just a little bit. And then what happens here is I follow along the same angle and then I curve up just slightly. Perfect. What I do now is I leave a little bit of space. I cut a line underneath. So if you have a really big bottom lip, a more full lip, you'll drop that line further down. If you have a skinny lip like my grandpa, it'll be closer up towards that middle line. Connect these two. Do not go to the edge of that. Just pull it back just a little bit because our bottom lip tucks into the skin on our upper lip. Now I follow the bottom of that circle. You can curve it like this, or you can just go straight across the line. It's up to you. This is going to look more feminine because whenever you distinguish the lips, that's how it goes. Now you can round this out, you can have sharper edges, it just depends on how you want your lips to be. So I'm going to curve them just a little bit. Now, ears. You have a sphere at the bottom on both. This is our bottom lobe. I cut a little bit of an angle so I have a slight triangle from the edge of the skull. Go straight across that line. Now I curve it down into a curve like this. So it touches about halfway through the middle of the circle. So I have this curve that comes from the top all the way down to the middle of the circle. Go down, I would say probably about 2, 3, so 1/3 down, and make a line. I cut up, 1/3 down, cut up, and I'm reaching towards this, but I'm leaving a little bit of space right there at the edge of that line right up here. Now that I have all those, I can just start distinguishing like the inner ear part. So this actually curves back out. That's that little dangly thing that we have right in there before the bottom lobe. Cut back in and curve it out like that. Cut back in, curve it back out. Now everybody's here is going to be completely different. Again, it just depends upon your picture. I typically just go like this. I have one curve here. This helps distinguish the edge of the outer ear. I do one here. So I touch close to where we had that 1/3 mark, and then I just pull it out as a small curve. And then I just typically leave everything else as is. It's kind of hard to see. I just distinguish the bottom of this circle. And then I got the bottom of my ear. If you want to add in earrings or whatever, go for it. Now for hairlines. So about halfway through here, it's typically where your hairline starts. It depends on your person. I had a Chinese exchange student, her hairline was way up here, and they thought that if your hairline was higher, that you were more wise. If it was lower, you were more like boorish or base. So I got my hairline right up here. Don't go all the way to the edge. Approximately where the edge of the eye is, cut down. Slight curve down. This is where your like sideburns-ish, if you had sideburns, go. And then you have the top of the skull. This really doesn't change from our basic sketch. So from here you can actually start adding hair. So if you have a hair part in the center, if you have a hair part here, it just depends. Now for me, my hair starts here and curves down. This is just general placement so that you know generally where hair goes. So if you have like a nice edge, you can just use this. If you don't, or if you have hair like me, all you do is just keep adding it from the center. So typically my hair gets hidden here, so I'll just go over top of my ears. My neck starts there, So you leave a little bit of edge off the bottom jaw, and that's your neck. I'm doing this all in pen, so that's why it's super messy. But in general, that's how I look. If you need to add details like glasses, again, you're just going to sit there and have all these measurement lines. So you have your half, you have your eye cuts, and then you can start adding in details like that. So here, go about halfway. It's the bridge of my glasses. Bottom. My lens is cut about here. About right there. And then again, I'm just going to draw my line across just to double check to make sure it's correct. And it's always okay to sit there and sketch with your pencil just to figure out where things go. Do the inside of my glasses. So do that little cutout. And in general, this is about how I look. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect just because you're not looking at yourself. You're just going across like the general guidelines of how to draw a person. Okay, so circle, do the bottom jaw. It goes a little bit below the bottom of your circle. Trapezoid, round it out, cut it in half. From the top of the skull to the bottom, cut it in half for your eyes, cut that in half from your eyes to your bottom jaw for the bottom of your nose, from the bottom of your nose to the bottom of your jaw, cut in half for your mouth. Right edge of the eyebrows is the top of the ear, bottom of the nose is the bottom of your ear, and then from the center of your pupil down is the edges of your lips, typically. If you guys need any other help or have any other questions, I'd love to help you guys out. So please call me over with your hand. I would love to help. Thank you guys for watching.